Oh, how I have missed you. I could not be more excited to be back with you, having these conversations, these raw, real, convicting, exciting conversations. It is going to be such an amazing time together where I get to share with you what's been going on these last 2 years that this podcast has been dormant. And we are relaunching it with a new name, Mon Talks. If you listen to the introduction, you already know where that came from. My husband calls me Mon. That's his nickname for me. And when the Lord said, I want your ministry to be called Mon and I want your retail store to be called Mon, I did not like that. It felt very odd and strange because nobody called me Mon except for Jared. And he said, you know what? I want you to know that others can love you and you can love them in the same way, the same awesome love that you have for your husband. And so, Mon, it is. He said, go deeper. And I looked up the Hebrew and the Greek meanings, and that's where that whole description came up: kingship, dominion, wisdom, obedience, his presence, and faithfulness, action, humility. All of these things that are just keywords, powerful words that we're going to get to talk about more. And we're also going to talk about the Kingdom Code, which is a code that he showed me in this last year. He said, you know what? If you really want to walk the talk, this is how I want you to do it. Now, this is a code that he gave me. I think anybody can use it and it's powerful. But if he's given you a different model, use the model he's given you, because I know that he is so intentional with the way that he does things. But I just want to share with you the way that he has shown me how to walk out this faith thing, which for so many of us, it is hard. It is hard. And yet, he is so gracious and merciful and forgiving and encouraging to give us little things like these that are going to help us along the way. So, today in this episode, I want to share with you a few of the bullet points around what the code consists of. So let's get started. Let's jump right into it. I can't wait to have conversations with other people who are also just walking out different aspects of the code, different aspects of the meaning of Mon in their lives. And you're just going to be completely inspired by what they are doing. And that inspires me and excites me in these next steps of what this podcast is going to do. So let's get right into it, shall we? All right. So the C in code is Christ. Jesus Christ. Jesus is his name. Christ is his positioning. And I think that in this season and this time, the Lord is really at least hitting me hard with the idea of positioning. He's like, look, Monica, you are seated with me. You are seated. Can you look at the world from that seated position instead of the lens of your circumstances or your past? I am the one who holds your future, and I want you to see your future in the same way that I see it, because it's the reason why I created you. And so it's really exciting to walk into something that for us in the moment may feel like it's unknown, but it's actually very known because it's part of who we are. It is the essence of who we are. And so the C is for Christ. And he broke it down because, Christ is the beginning and the end. He is the omnipresent, the omniscient. He is the one who is all in all. And I love that this is how the code starts, because everything that we do should point back to him. All right. He said, Monica, in order to do this, first you need to see me. You need to see me in everything. In every person, in every circumstance, in every part of creation, you need to see me there. You need to just be aware of my presence in everything. There is no place where I am not. And once you see me and you're aware of me, then you can get to know me. And so, how do we know him? We know him through his word, we know him through prayer, communication through there, we know him through the basics of faith, something as important as fasting, where you get to shed the flesh and open your spiritual ears to hear clearly what the Lord is trying to say to you in any particular season. So, see me first so that you can know me. And that's using the tools that he's already given us so that you can be me. And what is be me is to be the salt and the light. We are him here now. We are his representatives. We are citizens of heaven here to influence the world on behalf of the kingdom. We are ambassadors. And so we get to be him. And as we become him, others can see him. So you see, the code is a beautiful, it's like a circle that never ends. See me, know me, so that you can be me. And as you become me, others see me and they get to start with the see me and the know me. And then they become him. And then others get to see him. And it's beautiful because it's always expanding. And that is how the kingdom works. It's always expanding and growing. So that is C. There's so much more to this, guys, but I'm just giving you kind of the bullet points right now so that you can have a foundation as we start off this new podcast and this new vision to where the Lord wants to lead us to be more powerful and effective in the world right now. No matter where you are, being a mom, being someone with a 9 to 5, being an entrepreneur, being whoever you are in ministry, he wants us to be effective right now. Okay, so that's the C. The O is obedience. And you know that obedience is my middle name. I love being obedient just because I have seen his goodness. I have seen his power. I have seen his faithfulness through obedience. And he said to me one day in prayer, obedience isn't this heavy burden of something that I need to do in order to win his approval or prove to anybody that I am a believer or I am a follower of Jesus. That's not it at all. Obedience is simply my ability to see myself face to face with who I really am. Because as we walk out our obedience, we are seeing who he originally created us to be. And when we are not obedient, we are walking outside of who he created us to be. And so it's just such a beautiful way that he connects the dots, and his timing is just so perfect when we are obedient to something and somebody else is blessed in the moment. And then we get to be like, wow, Lord, wow, it is so fun to partner with you. It's not something heavy. It's a joy. And it is this shout of victory that we get to have being one of his. I'll give you a really quick example of obedience. It's small, but it is in my life right now something that he just shown me was very powerful. So those of you who are watching online, you'll see that I've got some grays coming in. Do you see that? They're coming in between the black, and I am no longer dyeing my hair. No problem with anybody else who does. This is just an example of obedience that he said specifically for me. So don't take it on for yourself, because I would totally be doing that if he hadn't told me to do this. So he said, Monica, I need you to stop dyeing your hair. And I was like, really, Lord? Really? Yes. He said, my daughters and sons are looking for spiritual mothers, but they don't know where to find them because you're too busy competing with them. Ouch. Ouch. So I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to stop. This is a tough one for me because it's my appearance. And then all of a sudden, he's bringing me back into who he created me to be, because guess what happened? The day that I made that decision, the next time I was in the store, people who used to just call me Monica or Mon, all of a sudden started calling me Mom. I was blown away, and I have witnesses because our other team members who've seen that transition of multiple people now coming in and calling me Mom just proved that that one act of obedience was something that was needed for his kids to know that they had a spiritual mother that they could bounce ideas off of, or receive correction, or receive just inspiration, or just encouragement. So I just love the Lord so much in the ways that he does things. And so now I love the gray. I'm like, check it out. I've got some wisdom behind this. This shows the wisdom of all the experiences and all the mistakes that I have personally made in my life. And now I get to help you be so much farther ahead of the game, avoiding my mistakes and being able to see what the Lord has done for me and what he can do for you. So I feel so blessed by just wanting to walk in obedience. And my goal is to stop hesitating, right? As soon as I get something, I just move straight into it, no questions asked, because I've seen that timing is so important. And I've got tons of stories about that, but this is just one small one that maybe you can relate to. All right, let's move on. So we had C, which is Christ, O, which is obedience, D is declaration. So I learned from Emma Stark that we have two wars that we are fighting. One is the war of the land, and the other is the war of the air. The war of the land is literally taking back territory that the enemy would have used and using it for the kingdom. So, for example, the 5,500 square foot space that we have at the store, that is 5,500 square feet that is no longer the enemy's. It is being used for kingdom purposes. So we are winning the war of the land. We are taking back what is rightfully ours. Now, the war of the air is what we speak out. It is our declaration. It is our prayer. It is our worship. It is our roar, whatever it may be. It resounds in the heavenlies and it makes an impact. And that's why it's recommended when you read the word to read it out loud, because the truth of the word is literally just penetrating into the darkness and obliterating it and making it what it needs to be. It needs to be truth. So, the war of the air is your declaration. What we bind on earth, we bind in heaven. And so what you say matters. It matters a lot, a lot. And so we need to be careful. And the only way we start speaking things differently is we start thinking things differently first. And that's why I am such a big proponent of being a lie detector and finding the lie first, so that as we bring truth in, then we can speak straight into that lie and boom, it's gone. And now we get to walk in truth, which is so much fun. I love seeing the shift in people and in mostly in my children when we have conversations around finding the lie and bringing truth into it. So that is the D, the declaration. It moves things and it moves us into a new space in any circumstance. Things will change depending on how you speak about them. All right. And the last one is E. The Lord was telling me, it's great for you to know me. It's great for you to, uh, be obedient and do all of these things. But do you have any fruit? That is the true marker of one who is really walking with Christ. Do you have any fruit? So he wants us to measure, or he wants me to measure my effectiveness. Am I being effective for the kingdom or not? And so the cool thing is that if I am not being as effective, in other words, what I was gung ho in doing and I was all in doing, thinking that it was from God or for God, and it had no fruit, then I need to go back and reevaluate why that happened. And so I get to go back to the beginning and start with C again. What if what you're doing is producing fruit and you're like, this is amazing. I want to keep going. Guess where you get to go? You get to go back to the beginning, back to C, because he now has a new level of revelation, a new instruction, a new place for you to encounter who he is in a greater way that will never stop for the rest of our lives and onto eternity. He's always bigger than what we could ever imagine. And then we get to start it all over again in that new space, that new level, that new season. We get to then be obedient and declare his truth and then evaluate once again the effectiveness of that season, of that moment, of that decision, and then keep going back in this beautiful circle that he is using so that we can stay focused, so that there is no distraction, so that we can literally move in power and authority in this day and time. And so those are the cliff note versions of each of those. C is Christ, see me, know me, be me. O is obedience, D is declaration, and E is effectiveness, measuring your effectiveness. So we are going to be talking with people during our time together who are walking out any of these parts of the code and any of the parts of the meaning of Mon. And we are going to see that maybe, oh, it's not just me that has lived this circumstance, or it's not just me that's had things a little difficult. And wow, I didn't know that you could triumph in this. There was a beautiful lady who came into the store yesterday, and she was saying, I was watching your whole journey with your father. My father passed away on December 31st. He went to be with the Lord. He's having an awesome time there. I cannot wait to see him again. And I documented some of the processes, and in a lot of it, I was declaring, I was doing declarations for his life. And she said that as she watched me go through that, then she was motivated to step into what the Lord was asking of her in a difficult time. And she was motivated to keep moving forward. And that's why I love the ability to talk to other people, because then we're like, wait a minute, I have this same circumstance. And look, she's doing it, he's doing it. That means there's a possibility that I do it too. And that's what it's all about. We help each other as the body of Christ to move forward, to expand the kingdom, to bring down strongholds, to have breakthroughs, and to really walk the talk. So I cannot wait for our next time together. We are going to be breaking things down. Sometimes we'll have a guest. Sometimes it'll just be you and me, and we are going to get to the nitty gritty. This is a season where we will no longer be holding back on being politically correct or correct in any way according to the world. We are just going to say it how it is, how he revealed it to me or to others, because he wants us to accelerate during this time. There's this sense of urgency where we need to really grasp onto the reality of who he is, because we need to be sharing this with our family, with our children, with strangers, so that they can have victory and the power of redemption can truly just be manifest in their lives as they capture these truths and make them their own. And the ultimate truth is Jesus. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And we are looking to live lives that honor him, and we are looking to partner with him in greater and greater ways. Thank you so much for listening to our first episode. And thank you for just being so committed to the last season we had when this used to be the Faith Led Business Podcast. And you just really walked that whole journey of obedience with me in 2020. I am so appreciative of that. You have no idea how I still consider you my family, and I cannot wait to continue to build on that relationship as we walk together. God bless everyone, and I will see you next time.